Hmm. Oh, okay. I hope I am online. First position. All right. Okay. So today we will go through a game which I played as white um, in the Benko Gambit. Right. So typically as a white player, I play d4 and then I react to what the opponent plays. My idea is to play d4, c4, knight c3, uh, then the pawn up, um, knight f3, um, g3, and then the bishop to g2, and then castle. So this is the typical Catalan position. So my idea is always to get into that kind of a position while playing as white. Um, but the opponent a lot of times can throw a lot of different kinds of openings at you, and you need to react to that. You can't just keep on playing what you always planned on playing, right? So the first move here that I play is d4 according to my plan, and I got this, and this is what you call a Benko Gambit, right? So the opponent wants you to take here so that he can, proceed to take the center. Um, and once he plays this move, he also attacks the pawn here, and it's very difficult to defend this pawn unless and until you play something like this, which is not that good, weakens squares like this and this, or you play this, which prevents your other pawn from developing, from another central pawn from developing, right? Uh, so what I played was d5. I had analyzed one of my other games in which this position had occurred. So I saw that the computer actually suggested d5 here. So the next move that the opponent typically plays is knight f6. Let me see if my moves are all calculating. Oh, this is not refreshing. Okay, still not refreshing. Pick it up again. Uh, yeah, I hope it refreshes now. I hope it refreshes now. Right? Okay, let's go ahead. So yeah, the knight f6 is a book move. The computer suggests that move. And now he starts attacking my pawn, right? So that's always been his motive, to start attacking my pawn while he develops his pieces. I don't think there is too much to be afraid here. Again, I had analyzed this position before, so I played c4. Again, c4, as you can see, is a book move. I had analyzed this position before. I knew c4 was the best move to play in this position, so I go ahead and play it. He attacks c4, right? And the idea is to make these two pawns separate, so this can be a lot easily targeted later on. So he probably will probably think of plomping his bishop here and creating a double attack on this because only my queen protects this. So c takes b5. Again, I know this is the right move uh, due to previous analysis. Then he plays something like b6, and I don't understand this move too much. The computer thinks it is a mistake, as you can see on the screen. A6 was supposedly the best move in this position. Um, and I play knight to c3. Right? So this knight comes to the center, directs these two pawns along, and this pawn is now This pawn is now protected by both the queen and the knight. And this is good for me. Like he does not even think about challenging my um, pawn in the center. He thinks blocking this is better, and he can then launch an attack separately on top of it. I am okay with that. I think I keep developing my pieces. Okay, G3, computer thinks is an inaccuracy. Um, if you think E4, computer thinks is the best move. So here you play E4, you grab the center, um, you prevent his bishop from coming here, which you will see in the later part of the game. It actually comes here, and it creates some counterplay, and it allows some counterplay for black. So I understand this now. So G3 is what I play. He comes here, and now you see this E4 move is no longer possible. Sorry, this E4 move is no longer possible because there are two attackers to this particular square. So I play G2, and now again you see this move is possible, right? But this again the computer does not like. The computer wants my bishop to keep to be on this diagonal, protecting this. Which is fair. I understand he wants to like capture with the knight later on, protect it with the bishop, and then create havoc on these squares, right? Completely get that. But being a Catalan player myself, I'm always more comfortable placing my bishop in this long diagonal, and especially when these squares are so weak, I don't need a second invitation to do this, right? And you will see a major part of the game will be decided on the pressure that I exert along this diagonal. So he moves his knight. Again, it wasn't a very good move. Um, Computer suggests a6 to be the best move in this position uh, for for black to just try to open this diagonal, try to open this line up for um, for the rook. He does not do that. I play knight to f3, which is good, which is not a great move again. The best move again is e4 here. But the problem is with e4, right? I can never develop my knight. So because with e4, I had calculated this first. So with e4, first of all, this diagonal becomes a little closed, right? This e4, this diagonal becomes a little closed, right? And then once you retreat, right? You can play something like this. Um, you can't play something like this right away because the knight protects, right? So I did not know. I mean, uh, whether it was the right move to play. So let me just play this because then where is my knight going, right? It has to go somewhere here, which is probably okay. And then it was planning to come here, which is also okay. So that's probably the idea um, that my that computer has in this position, right? Um, but but I get why the computer suggests that that knight to f3 is not a good move. Completely get that. Um, and I had considered playing e4 in this position, but I was a little skeptical of where I put my knight after that, and the bishop getting blocked also. So he plays h6. Computer thinks h6 is a really good move. Uh, Maybe because my it prevents my bishop from coming here, but that's something that I was not planning at this point in time. So it was not creating a lot of pressure in my mind playing something like h6. And you can see, like, if you ignore your development in the earlier part and you push your pawns in a Benko Gambit kind of a setup, what happens to your queen side, right? So what happens to your king side? There is like absolutely no way for him to develop these pieces very naturally. He can't play this because I'll take this, he'll take this, and then I'll just give a discovered attack uh, on the rook here, right? So that's something that he's trying to prevent. So he plays h6 at this point in time. I think mostly due to not knowing what to play at this point. But I would think, this is just my opinion. I would think something like this, right? And then being able to play something like this is good because then you exert pressure on this diagonal at least, and you prepare yourself from castling. I know, something like a knight here after that attacks the bishop, and then probably you will lose the bishop, um, and your pawns will get doubled, and that's why probably the computer does not like it. But something like h6 here does not create the pressure that you want to create on your opponent. So I simply castle again. Knight to d2 was better here. Knight to d2 again has the potential of making eventually making this move, which is e4, and also prevents your knight from coming here, right? So you will see um, the queen now moves uh, here. Again, I don't know what that move typically does, but I thought that this is a good opportunity for me to play uh, rook on e1, and I think this is probably not the worst move that I played in the position because um, you could have achieved that simply by playing something like d2, um, and that would serve the purpose completely. But I wanted to place it in e1 because the king is open, right? So this allows e4, which is the worst thing that could happen to me in the position. I go ahead and keep protecting my, uh, you know, I keep protecting my pawn, which has the potential of getting weaker, right? Because if you think about it, he's trying to take this, and once I take this, both this pawn and this pawn is slightly weaker. He can't take this. Sorry, he can't take this, but he can definitely take this, right? So, um, and I don't want to take here because then this comes, and again this pawn is being attacked twice. This pawn is getting attacked twice, right, by the queen and the bishop. Right? And if you move your uh, and if you move your knight to protect it through the bishop, then the light square bishops get cast can the light square bishop gets exchanged, and that's something that I don't want to do, like for being a Catalan player. This is a very potent threat, if I may say, in the position. So I play a4. He comes here. Um, this is really bad. Apparently, it's just an inaccuracy though. It is not good at all. So I play h. Wow. I play knight to h4. The move here uh, was was just h7. Wow. Sorry. Instead of this, again, I should have played this knight to d2 move, and I completely ignored this move. Now, this is what happens when you analyze your games, right? So you realize that there was a potential of developing your knight to d2 in the first place, and even after developing it to d on to f3, you can come to d2 to prevent um, to like challenge this knight, which can come here at any point in time, right? So that's an idea that you take away from analysis of the game, right? So I play this. He moves ahead and takes my knight. I have to take back because my queen was attacked. Then he pushes his bishop back, and then at this point in time, I think I can play e4. So I might have played e4. Yes, e4 is the best move in this position. As you can see, the computer is already showing me +5 up, right? Which is a whole rook up. Right. So now comes a very critical point in the game. He attacks my knight, right? And I was considering two moves, right? I was considering this move. Then definitely will take with his queen, sorry, with his bishop. I take it back. I take back. Um, and I am a pawn up at this position because of the gambit that he played. So it's not that bad. But I was also considering this move, you know. And I thought that, if he takes this, then I can just play this up, and then there is a skewer on the queen and the rook, right? That's one. So I'll at least get an exchange back. And of course, this pawn is weak right here. So I'll get that pawn back also in some time. So that was one thing. right? The other thing that I was a little scared about was that if he takes my knight, what do I do? I take his knight. Uh, uh, yeah. So I was a little scared. I was calculating this uh, through a lot of combinations. Uh, but I eventually ended up playing this. And he played, and I was thinking, okay, if he takes this, I have this, right? And this opens up my queen. Um, I move back, right? And then I can take here, right? He can take here, and then I can probably save myself by playing something like this. Right? Uh, right, right. That's what I was calculating. So this now see let's see what the computer suggests. So takes DE5, right? Still plus. He suggests taking with the, and this is something that I was planning to do anyways. I had calculated this move as well because I felt that if I play something like this, he takes, and I play something like this, right? There is a potential of him playing something like this. You see, and this protects everything. This protects uh, this entire skewer, and and this piece is protected twice. Uh, so it becomes a little challenging to understand what's the best move in this position. So you might think about playing here, but then he can take here, and yeah, it's no good. My computer is lagging a little bit, but as you can see it's a little difficult uh, to play this. Um, so instead of playing something like this, uh, I had calculated playing something like this. Now there is a slight difference. Since I did not push this pawn, right? You can't play here, right? Because then I have two pieces protecting this particular square. Right? So that's the minute difference here. That's the minute difference here. So that's why I calculated like rook takes e5 instead of just pushing at this point in time. And the rook which I played to e1 actually came in handy here. So if he took at this position, right, that's the next part of the puzzle. What to do now, right? Um, and I was still calculating something like this. And then again, you have a slight difference here. It's a skewer. Uh, Let me see what's the best move here. Uh, Computer is still calculating. Trying to get my internet to work a little better. The move is d6. That is seems to be the right move. D6. And at this point in time, oh, the evaluation is dropping like anything. Yeah. No, no, no. It's coming up again. It's coming up again. It's just taking some time to calculate. I was thinking, what about e4? Right? What do we do about that? hmm Right? And the move here is simply e2. This is something I did not calculate. I did not calculate this, but I was fortunate enough to get it right. To I was very fortunate that I actually played this move. Right? Um, Let me get back. This is where we were. Okay. Uh, so here he made a strange move. He went ahead and castled his king long, right? And this I thought gave me a little bit of an opportunity to be a few more pawns up at least. So I took this, he took this, and then I gave him a check here, right? And once I gave him a check, as you can see, this pawn falls automatically, right? And then this pawn gets protected. You can't take this. Yeah. Yeah, if you take this, sorry, if you take this, I just take back with my, uh, I just take back with my queen. And then your bishop also falls at this position. Yeah, it's really tricky. It's really tricky. So, uh, so he plays something like this. I attack it. He comes back, and it took me some time to find the best move here. I came back again because I thought I should not keep my pawn unattended. He came. He played something like a simple bishop move. Not sure what it did. Maybe he just wanted to protect this pawn a couple of times because it was being threatened a couple of times before. You see, just the bishop protects it. So um, I, I, I can actually take this, but then there are nasty discoveries which I don't want to deal with. If you just move this piece, and then there are two pieces attacking this, and I don't think I have a way to, save my piece. Yeah. So there was no intention of taking that pawn. He comes with this bishop, and then I play this bishop up here. know. And this is a little tricky. This is a little tricky. What I had calculated is now if he does not do a strong move, uh, I can actually take this pawn. And let me play his move. Okay, he plays something like this, which is again almost a nothing move, right? So I can actually take this. And there are two ways for him to recapture. One is this by the rook. I just give a check here and pick the rook up, right? I have three attackers on that rook at that point in time, and he only has two defenders, right? So two defenders, right? So I can actually pick that rook up if he takes it with the rook. The other move is that once I take is this, right? Then I will exchange sack. He will take my exchange. Then I'll play this, right? And then I'll take the rook back. Right. With my queen, with my bishop, right? So, yeah, I was giving away my bishop and my rook for his bishop and his rook. Um, so if he took with the bishop, actually, he was losing more than, yeah, he was losing more than just, uh, equal number of pieces. He was actually losing uh, a whole piece. Yeah, yeah, a whole piece. Because my rook and my bishop sorry, my rook gets exchanged for his bishop and his rook. So I took, he took, right? I took with my uh, knight, sorry, my rook, and he just makes a blunder. So what I was calculating here was simply this, then this with check. He moves it somewhere. I just take this, and then you know. Uh, I'm a clear piece up. This is my clear piece, which I'm up, and he has four pawns. I have seven pawns. Wow. So as you can see, it's a plus six. So that's what I was calculating. But uh, instead of, you know, let me back up a little bit. So he just abandoned his rook. I did not understand that. He abandoned his rook, and I took the rook. It was game over. And that's where he resigned. Opponent resigned, and at this point, as you can see, I'm plus 10 up, so it's a little difficult for him to do anything at this position. Um, so yeah, I think his castling on the opposite side was the worst possible move for him. Was the worst possible move for him, clearly. Um, and playing the Benko Gambit, of course, is not good either. So either or, yeah. Whatever you want to call the reason of the demise, you may, but there are quite a few, in my opinion. Mhm. Okay, so here I'll probably stop streaming.